running a little bit.
Where you at, 300?
420.
Oh no, it's going up there, boy.
420.
Yeah, it's going up there, for real. Test, test. Right.
No, let me just. I gotta do some homework for our first comment. Is Freddie still alive? Gotta do some research on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe so. Alright. Now on this one, this first one, so we got the passing of the last boss of bosses.
Okay.
If we can try to get that out while that's still
While it's
still
on fire.
Yeah. Out of Malcolm's mouth, a funny story about, told you nigga, check me about him asking about. What you say? He was in Tracy's basement. He was trying to get some credit. Telling him the hut.
Mm-hmm.
Nigga, I'm about to have money. You know, my uncle's man, Courtney Brown, gonna be home next week. We already got the bags. I say, who'd you say? Nigga looked at me all crazy. Who is this, Tracy? Tracy just like, he look at me, look at my, he like, nothing, nigga. He's just like, this is my cuz. He don't know nothing. Just let him go. I immediately told Daddy. 2 weeks later, he called Malcolm over. Malcolm was like, this is the nigga that said it. I'm like, yeah. But we became very cool. He became my security. But yeah, Malcolm's mouth. Little gangster story of the real definition of snitching.
Okay.
Tying in Frank Costello, Vincent Chin, Godfather of Harlem characters.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard of the character Frank Costello?
Yes. Man. He was with
the original.
The original
and he helped form
commission.
Yeah, exactly. Later be known as the Prime Minister.
Ah.
But as he ascended and was really trying to get out of the life, but at his level he can't really get out of it. Some people didn't want him to do a graceful retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So Vincent Chin Gigante was featured in, his character's featured in Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather of Harlem.
A guy who later would do the crazy role. Tried to play.
Oh yeah, with the bathrobe.
Yeah, Vincent Chin.
This Tony Soprano was with the bathrobe going to go get his newspaper.
All that shit. Vincent, he played that shit good for a long time. But feds wasn't buying it. Feds wasn't buying it at all. They wasn't buying it. Crazy role helped him for a long time though.
Oh yeah. They
do a good job of that in Godfather of Harlem actually. They have the scene FBI guy comes to his house. And his wife playing along with, like, you know, my husband's a very disturbed man. FBI is like, I need to talk to Mr. Chin right now. And she's like, okay. And then when I go over to the bathroom, he in the shower with the umbrella naked. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, he played it.
Okay.
He played his role. But anyway, back in the day, he put out a hit. He shot Frank Costello.
Oh.
And, you know, Frank Costello's all in the hospital and the feds are like, you know, who did this? And Frank Costello's like, I don't know nothing about what y'all talking about. That's no sense. They were gangsters. Frank understood, even though this motherfucker is not my blood enemy. We don't talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is not civilian shit. This is our shit. And after that, the irony of it all, in that world. So Vincent Gigante and Vito Genovese, after Frank Costello just stands up and says, you know, whatever it is, fellas, it is, but fuck it, I ain't getting police involved in our shit.
Right.
And they were like, retire, Frank. Just retire. What's happening, family? This is your man, CRB Jr., Courtney Robert Brown Jr. here at Motown Mafia Podcast, a Big Boss Filmworks production. And as always, to my left is my main man, my brother, and my partner in these endeavors. Brother Lou, what up, dog?
What up, though?
Everything good with you?
Everything's great, man. Great show, last show. If you get a chance, if you're looking at the previous shows, check out Ken Bailey's show we did. Ken the Street Monster Bailey.
Yeah, it had mom sit in, had one of the elders sit down with us. That was cool. It was a real family kind of thing. So
definitely.
That's a good look. That was a real good look.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, today, September the 8th, it is, right? September the 8th, 2022.
Yep.
Queen Elizabeth II has passed.
Passed away.
The boss of bosses.
The boss of bosses.
And y'all like, what is this guy talking about? So we're going to give you a little history lesson. And so y'all will know, because I know some people like, what's Courtney giving a RIP to the Queen? Don't he know that the Queen of England was involved, her family was involved in slavery and this, that. Actually, they're involved in a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
But you got to know,
Mm-hmm.
I was joking with a family member. I say, we African Americans today, you have to be nice to our other people, to our white brothers and sisters out there, because they done lost their big boss. She been the flagship for 96 years.
That's right.
And now they done lost the flagship. Ain't sure about succession. So we got to give them a break till they can get their house back in order. When you lose a boss, been there for 96 years, it's a little unsettling. But so Queen Elizabeth II is the direct bloodline to the British royal family, which goes back now to I don't know, William I. I think 1066 was the first king of this bloodline.
Okay.
Right. So, whether you like them, hate them, whatever, as I was saying, obviously her family was involved in some of the world's great atrocities.
Yeah.
But her family also has been involved in a lot of the reason why the world is set up the way that it is, and there's a such thing as globalization. And if you here in Michigan or in Detroit, the reason why you can go back and forth to Windsor and go shopping and go to the casino, all of that go back to the activities of her family. I know you got a photo that you're going to show along with this.
Yes.
When Queen Elizabeth was a young woman, about in her mid-20s, 1958, 1957, Ghana had just got its independence. And this queen, this young white woman, went to Africa, went to a ball, and danced with a black man, touching each other, by the name of Kwame Nkrumah, who was the first president of Ghana. Now, that don't sound like nothing in 2022.
Right.
But the Queen of England doing a slow dance with a black man's arm around her in 1958. Again, this is the same time period where Emmett Till is being beat to death here in America for looking at a white woman. But that shows where her mind was at, where the royal families were understanding that she had to go to Ghana, calm down. The brothers there who had just got their independence. The British had called Ghana the Gold Coast, and the Queen, like a real boss, had to go down there to make sure that gold kept flowing. And if that meant doing a little slow dance with the brother, then we're going to do a little slow dance with the brother.
Right.
And I was tying that back into now her grandson, Prince Harry's married to, Meghan Markle?
Meghan Markle, yeah.
Yeah, right? Now you got the Queen's grandson's married to a black woman. Again, and here in America, we talking about Black Lives Matter. Now just for real, take a thought on that. You got segments of America running around, we talking about Black Lives Matter. The Queen of England had white folk in charge on planet Earth. Her grandson married to a black woman, who then spit out a great-grandchild, because Prince Harry and Meghan have a baby, whose great-grandmother is R.I.P. Elizabeth II.
Yes, indeed.
The world is what they call complicated, y'all. There's a lot of different levels to this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
When her, that had been 6, 7 generations ago, when her bloodline, George II, was still in control of America, you know, it was Queen Elizabeth's bloodline that offered our descendants of African American freedom to help fight against George Washington and that crew. So I know the way we go to school here in America, obviously we are educated that King George and the British were the bad people, and Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and Ben Franklin and all the people that owned our money were the good people.
Right.
But the simple, hard, brutal facts is Queen Elizabeth's family, going back to King George, had offered freedom for our ancestors long before, while Thomas Jefferson and the first 4 presidents of this new country called America were all still owning slaves. Queen Elizabeth's ancestors in England were the first power to abolish slavery. Now that is also, they were the people who made the most money out of slavery. So again, I am a historian, family, but as we look back, because the news gonna be, because again, the head white woman in charge did pass, so that's all you gonna hear on your major outlets. And when they send her away, I assure you she will be sent away like a boss.
Yes.
And on that, I was joking. You know, we be talking about jewelry and brothers flossing. I've been to the Crown Jewels in London. Okay, brothers, let me help you out. Ain't none of us flossing. Ain't none of us stunting. Look at a coronation or when the British royal family have an event, and you look at the rocks and stones when they iced out.
Right.
Queen Elizabeth jewelry box, one. You could take all niggas in hip hop together, all niggas in the streets getting money together, put all their jewelry together, and she got one ring worth more than all that.
That's the truth.
That's just the truth. In fact, the Queen got so much ice and gold. They have a place in London called the Royal Gems, where the Crown Jewels, which is where the royal family keep all their ice at.
That's right.
So, hey, I say that don't feel bad about sometimes putting on some gold and some diamonds and showing off, because the Queen and her family been putting on their ice when it's the right party to remind people we get money and we getting plenty of it. And if you look at some of, again, a coronation, or like when they have a big affair over there, they remind the world, we've been getting money for a long time. We've been getting money for a long time. We did an episode.
Yeah. Who can you name the drug dealer in this picture?
Right, and I think it was a picture of Queen Elizabeth II,
Frank Matthews, and
Pablo Escobar. And y'all, again, some people's out there who ain't got their history game down right. Like, what does he talk about? So I just asked you to Google the Opium Wars. If you Google the Opium Wars 1 and 2, it's going to tell you about, there was a period of a little over 100 years ago where the Chinese wanted to stop allowing opium to be brought into their country by the British. That would be Queen Elizabeth's family. Queen Elizabeth's family, the British royal monarchy, responded to the Chinese request to stop selling opium with a "you gotta be kidding, we making a ton of money selling this opium." The Chinese government then attempted to close down the British opium dens in China, which led to Queen Elizabeth's ancestors sending the British Navy there, taking over Hong Kong, and telling the Chinese that we will kill all of you before we stop importing opium into your country. Now you say, where did they get the opium from? Well, Queen Elizabeth's ancestors had taken over the entire subcontinent known as India and grew huge opium fields. So I know you be looking on TV, they be talking about the Taliban growing opium and all of that. Well, guess who was the forerunners of this?
Right.
Guess who showed the people in India and I gotta tell my brother we had taping. I'm taping in India. And I can't talk right now. Yeah, that was a game that the British put down. That was the game that the British put down. And then a little, you know, it was years ago when I was in London. You guys who have ever, old school guys probably have drank some Beef Eater gin, right?
Yeah.
With the guy with the big black hat and the red coat on. Well, the Beef Eaters are the guards that guard Buckingham Palace. I was joking with Jim.
Everybody loves walking up messing with them, man.
Mm-hmm.
They like to make them faces, and they don't touch.
Don't touch.
They don't touch, but they just they irk them. I done seen videos on it.
Cause I was young and silly, and we was. I'm gonna tell you that Beef Eater gave me a look like, boy, it can happen. It can happen. It can happen. Yeah. Like you think we in charge of protecting the queen because we soft?
Right.
Do not overdo your act, young man.
Don't play.
Don't play, because it can really, really happen. So, and again, as a history guy, you know, she has been a big part of, you know, why the world's set up the way it is, why the game is the way the game is. You need to know about Elizabeth II and her family and what they've been doing for 400 years to even understand, because for real, her family have a lot to do with architecting the way the whole world is.
That's right.
You know, well, World War II. So yeah, and I was telling people that, you know, she was the one that when the British was really taking it on the chin, when Hitler was getting the best of them in World War II, that really kind of held them together. Them, unlike a lot of other countries that Hitler was running over, you know, but her family, they was old school. They was like, we'll fight in the sea, we'll fight in the air,
right.
We'll fight on land, but we ain't gonna never surrender.
Right, the sun will not set
on the
British Empire.
You know, and in fact, they had a plan. I was just kicking, you know, I'm a history nerd like that. When things were getting real rough for them, the Queen had already sent all the crown jewels and the British wealth already. She had already sent it over to Canada.
Oh, okay.
Because it really looked like for a minute that the Germans were going to invade. If you're into this kind of stuff, look up the Battle of Britain. That was the big air battle where the British was able to turn back the Germans to stop them, to stop Hitler's crew from just coming and bum rushing
right on
the royal palace. But yeah, it was looking bad for them, and she had took all her jewelry and took all the royal family's money. Canada was still a territory. Well, if you go to Canada right now, her picture's still on the money.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
To this day.
To this day, her picture's still on the money. In the Bahamas.
Oh, okay.
In fact, as a kid, when she gave the Bahamas their independence in '72, we were down there. And again, talk about a show at Flossin. In '72, when she gave the Bahamas their independence, it was a big to-do. I mean, she came in with about 10 aircraft carriers. Then they got the lead. They got the lead aircraft carrier with the band playing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they put on a show. So you niggers now, okay, y'all can run your own show now. Just remember who boss around here.
Just don't forget.
Don't forget that. Yeah, but they was ready to get hat, leave England, and they was gonna camp out in Canada to try to regroup, because again they had an empire. So it was like we still got Canadian soldiers, Australian soldiers, Indian soldiers, soldiers from Ghana, South Africa. So even if they're playing. Queen and her family's crew plans, even if we get bum rushed out of England,
okay,
we'd just fall back in Canada, regroup. We still got soldiers all over the world, and one day we'll come back and we'll get our house back in England. But they won the Battle of Britain, and it never got to that point. But it was close for them. Yeah. So that woman didn't seen a lot, did a lot.
Yeah,
so you know,
time.
you gotta show respect to your enemies and your allies. For better or for worse, she's been a huge part of world history.
Yeah.
So, you know. R.I.P. to the boss of bosses, Queen Elizabeth II.
R.I.P.
All right. And moving on, Lou, some other stuff, you know, as we be going through the archives and on a completely different note.
Okay.
Brothers talking. And when you be talking and don't know who you talking in front of. So let me take you back on this story. It is circa Pops came home from the original case with Eddie. By the way, If you don't know or have not read or really want to know why we can talk the way we talk, then you need to really read Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, available on Amazon, Kindle, and directly paperback on Amazon. You can even contact us at bigbossfilmworks.com. But yeah, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, which tell you why Daddy was coming home in '84. And of course, it led to the award-winning documentary Motown Mafia that is available on Tubi
Prime
and Amazon Prime. So Pops comes home April of '84.
Mm-hmm.
So this had to be late March '84. We over, Eddie ain't with me, but I'm over his man house, Tracy and Scott Slade. Shout out to Scott. Shout out to Jabba the Hutt, aka Tracy. Tracy, aka Jabba the Hutt. And I'm just over there in some mischief.
Mm-hmm.
And as Tracy's house was kind of like the headquarters for the crew, a certain portion of that YBI crew would always fall through there.
Right on.
So, brother named Malcolm, shout out to Malcolm. Just saw Malcolm not too long ago. Shout out to Malcolm. Brother named Malcolm, was good friends with Brett Goodwin, R.I.P. to Brett. In fact, he was the conduit later for a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, Malcolm come downstairs. We don't really, even back then, don't do a lot of name introductions. So it's just, this my man, that's my man. We give each other, what about you? They keep it moving. Malcolm trying to get Tracy to give him a little bit of work. The HUD is being a little resistance to the idea of credit. Malcolm explains to Tracy that I'm good for the debt because don't you know my uncle's man, Courtney Brown, gonna be home from the Fed. So it's like a bar. Tracy has like a bar in his basement. So Tracy's behind the bar, Malcolm's on one end of the bar, I'm on the other end of the bar. And I hear this guy say, Courtney Brown about to be home, and I'm working with my uncle, and we already got his bag.
Okay.
So I just instinctively I say, who did you say? Now, I'm not thinking, I'm young. I was probably a junior in high school. No, Pop's coming home, so I'm in between my freshman and sophomore year of college.
Mm-hmm.
I said, who did you say? So street brother, Malcolm Street dude, he looking at me like, who's this nigga asking me this kind of thing? So obviously Tracy know what time it is, so Tracy just look at me and be like, give me like let this be for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
He told Malcolm, that's just my cuz, don't even worry about it. Quickly reflects, and then I guess I kind of looking back on force Tracy's head, because Tracy's like, let me just get this nigga Malcolm this bag, and then he'll leave, and we can kill this whole little situation. So, needless to say, as a good son would, I go back to Pops. Pops comes home in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm like, Daddy, you know this guy named Malcolm? And he's like, my man Sam's nephew name is Malcolm. Describe him. I'm like, light-skinned, this looking guy, kind of stocky built. He like, yeah, that's Malcolm. He like, why? How you know Malcolm? I say, I was over one of Eddie's friend Tracy's house, and I replay him the story, and he was in the basement, and he told my friend Tracy that you was about to be coming home. And he just said this in public. I'm like, yeah, Daddy, that's what I'm telling you.
Right.
That's what the point of the controversy is. Yeah, he just said this in public. He like, okay, I'll take care of it. About a week later, he called me over to his joint. He like, I want to make sure that this is the right guy. He didn't call Malcolm over to the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm walking in the door. I'm like, yeah, that's him. Malcolm like, don't I know you? I was like, yeah, you know me from Tracy basement. And then I think it hit him what had happened. And, Pops, of course, gave him the lecture. Like, don't you ever in your life be putting my name out there like that. Are you kidding me? This ain't a play game.
Yeah.
You cannot put my name out there like that. Luckily, in this time, you put my name out in front of my son and some good people, Tracy and them, but you put my name and our business out in the street like that, in the wrong situation, it could come back to hurt everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Malcolm ended up mending that little rift. He always ended up looking out for me. In fact, it seemed like he had radar. Anytime I was in that Dexter Davidson Livernois area, he could always pull up on me and be like, everything all right with you, Junior Brown? Everything all right with you, Junior Brown? You good? And in fact, I just ran into him back in the day. Not here far from the studios. So be careful, young people. I know, especially today's world, what they call it, clout.
Cloud chasing.
Clout is important, but clout chasing can get you twisted.
Yeah, big time.
Clout chasing can get you twisted and get the boss mad at you. And you might be clout chasing, and you might be clout chasing in front of the boss's son, who gonna then tell the boss that they using your name chasing clout. Even though I think back then, I just think it was in the flow of Malcolm's conversation. He didn't come there chasing clout.
Yeah.
He needed
He was
to play,
excited.
and he needed to play a card.
Exactly.
The HUD was giving him some resistance on the deal he had structured, and he needed to play. He had an ace in the hole, and he was like, "Let me play this ace in the hole."
Let me put this out there. Name drop.
Name drop, and he knew that Tracy was cool with Eddie Jr. He knew the backstory of Eddie's old man and my old man. So he knew by dropping Courtney Brown's name that he was basically saying, "Look, man, I'm about to be working for family." You know what I mean? Your man's man is about to come home. Little did he know that your man's son and his man's son, that the fourth person there, he's actually in this room right now. So yeah, just a little funny story back in the day. Be careful cloud chasing though. That's the moral. That's the moral of that story.
Yeah.
Be careful cloud chasing.
And
be
name
careful
dropping.
and name dropping, because it can really upset the boss sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we need to check? You need to do a engineer
I did it
check.
already. I did it. You good?
We engineering, got a lot of technology going on, a lot of new cameras and stuff going on
Yeah,
right
big
now.
time.
So and also family, if you guys are out there watching us on YouTube, if you're getting this content on YouTube, please make sure you're hitting that like, share, and subscribe button.
Smash that notification bell.
That's right.
And with your comments, man. You hear something, shout it out. If you know a little something, or if you want to see something, or somebody we haven't covered yet, hit us up. Let us know who you want to see, who you, the viewer, want to see us cover.
Yeah, because, we keeping it going with a great response. We did something on all the big homies, because in no way did we ever want to suggest or have suggested. Obviously, what Eddie and Pops did back in the 70s, shout out to Uncle Butch and them, was a one-of-a-kind kind of thing, but in no way were they the only big fellas.
That's right.
Only people to move this town, only people that were from Detroit in Detroit's heyday. So we did something on Big Sylvester Seal Murray, gave him his roses while he's still here as just a hustler's hustler. R.I.P. We did something on Frank Nitty Usher, Mr. Usher.
Yep, Mr. Usher.
Again, world class, top of the food chain kind of guy. We did something on Henry Marzette.
Yep.
Who was really the predecessor, even the Eddie and Pops thing. Really like the first kingpin in Detroit.
He was that first guy doing it.
And then we just did something on a hell of a fella out of New York. Freddie Myers, New York Freddie, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the overlap. So yeah, if you guys got some stories, this thing, life in the struggle, which is what we talk about here at Big Boss, it's occurred in every city in the country. So if you guys got some stories and some people or things that you would think need to be exposed, or some hustlers who need to get their roses.
That's too hot though, folks.
Oh no, we deal in history. No, if it ain't, we deal in things that have been litigated.
I must preface.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can send it, but it's gonna go into the black hole.
That's right.
No, people ain't playing.
Nah.
So if you got breaking news on what's going on with the YSL story in Atlanta and Young Thug, you can keep that.
Yeah.
We'll cover that story in a few years.
Yeah.
When it's all sorted out.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about from the glory days and from the golden.
That's right. From the heyday.
From the heyday of the hustle before. What Brett Goodwin say? Before all the bitching and all the snitching.
There you go.
R.I.P. again, Brett Goodwin.
Yeah.
And on that, shout out to Al. You guys have not
Yeah.
seen City of Dope.
Check
the guy
out.
we'll be talking about. Brett,
City of Dope.
Brett really put his game down
Yeah, he did.
in that. So another word though, Brother Lou,
Mm-hmm.
that be used a lot in nowadays is, and we've done a little bit of stuff on. So you got your clout chasing,
You got the cloud
And
chasing,
then
you got
it's-
the name dropping.
and you got the infamous snitching.
Ooh.
Everybody's
Oh.
still accused of being.
Oh.
Is he a snitch? Is that snitching? Is that dry snitching?
Yeah.
You know, or there's an antidote again. You know, my old school definition is, you got to be in the life to be a snitch,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You have to be in the life to be a snitch. When square people call the police, they are not snitching. That is what they are supposed to do. They are good, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens, and if hoodlum criminal activity occurs, that's why they pay taxes, is for the police to come.
That's right.
Okay. Now, I think in many from my era, if we hustling on the block, but some creep is raping a little girl down the street, either the crew gonna take care of the situation, or we gonna call the police so they take care of him. And he would probably prefer that the police take care of him, because if the crew take care of him, it's gonna be
It's
the
gonna be 10 times worse.
street justice gonna get administered without
Medieval.
right? That ain't snitching when you stop a creep from raping one of your sisters and aunties,
That's right.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think in the opinion of many from my day, right?
Absolutely.
Snitching is me and you, Lou, we doing wrong together, you know. You get away, they run into the spot, we both run out the back door.
Mm-hmm.
You got longer legs than me. You get away,
Right.
I get caught, and then I'll be like, Lou, we caught! Lou Stevens, we caught! Lou Stevens,
Right.
that's snitching.
That's snitching. That's
know-
snitching 101.
So there's some characters who get chronicled in that epic series, Godfather of Harlem. That is a real definition of what snitching is not
Mhm.
and when it applies.
Yeah.
So there's a guy by the name of Frank Costello. Frank Costello, those who follow the Italian Mafia,
Mhm.
one of the originators, goes back to the days of Lucky Luciano,
Yeah, the commission.
Land, yes, the actual forming of the commission.
Okay.
Original commission member.
The founding member.
Founding member, charter member.
Yeah, you
Charter
got a
member.
charter member. Yeah,
Charter
that's right.
member.
We got the T-shirt for that too.
Got a
yeah.
charter member of the commission. Time will go on. He gets beefed out with a guy by the name of Vito Genovese, which is still his crime family bears his name, the Genovese crime family.
That's right.
With his underboss, Vincent Gigante, who is his character's heavily chronicled in Godfather.
Godfather Harlem. Yeah.
You know, for those who may not know or think you've heard of the name Vincent Gigante, he's the godfather that played the crazy role for years to keep the feds off his trail, you know. Drooling on himself in public, walking in the park with his robe half open, you know, taking showers in the rain, that type of shit. He played the crazy role for a long time, but back in the day, him and Frank Costello had beef. Frank Costello was kind of trying to ease his way out of being a godfather. Vincent Gigante was like, I'm going to help ease you out of being the godfather for sure, because I'm going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
He attempts to kill, they shoot Frank Costello.
Okay.
This is a big deal in New York and in the world of organized crime. Well, the police and the authorities think this is an opportunity for Frank Costello to really land, that Frank Costello's he's got to be upset, hurt, scared, all the above. Well, but Frank Costello's like, even though I know exactly who tried to kill me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking, because this is our thing, and we gonna sort this thing out. Right? Now, if Frank Costello had told on Vincent Gigante, that would have been snitching,
Yes.
because they're from that world.
Absolutely.
There are rules to that world.
Yep.
They both have signed up for that world.
Mm-hmm.
And
Blood oath.
blood oath. Frank Costello tells the FBI, no, look, I don't want your protection, I don't want your help, and I don't know who shot me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how the game used to work. So the same people then who tried to kill Frank Costello, Vito Genovese, and Vincent Gigante, then look at how Frank handles the situation, and they say, Frank, retire in peace. That's gangster shit.
Yeah, big time.
Like, we tried to kill you, we did. Didn't work out. You showed, though, that you are still who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and our thing is our thing, and we done with it. If you want to step aside, step aside. Frank Costello goes, lives the rest of his life a very rich man, and does that. So that's kind of as nuances too. So I just want the youth out there to know: don't be mad at a square for calling the police.
That reminds me. Related but a little bit different. I saw an interview with Pharrell Williams, the hip hop producer, singer, megastar. Right?
Megastar, Pharrell.
Right.
Ice Cream, Billionaire Boys Club.
Big time. And he was talking about, how many rappers that he worked with and how many rappers were in some deep shit and, gangster shit or whatnot. And
Mm-hmm.
he told them simply, he said, if you do anything around me, if you do anything around me, don't do it because I will tell on you.
I'm telling.
I will,
Pharrell.
he said, I'm not in that world. I'm not in
Well,
that
man,
life.
the interview was on Drink Champs? Is that Drink Champs?
I think it was Drink Champs. I can't remember where the interview was, but it tickled the shit out of me.
Yeah, Pharrell, like, I'm not no gangster. I ain't
Right.
into none of that shit.
Exactly.
And I'm calling the police, I'm telling. And you have to respect that.
Right.
He like,
He's square.
I'm a square. I'm a music guy. I make beats for gangster rap, but I'm not a gangster.
I'm not a gangster.
And I ain't getting caught up in all that.
Exactly. You gotta appreciate that integrity.
And if you know, that's why real gangsters want to get out of gangster shit, because they don't want to be involved.
They don't.
They don't want to have to live in the jungle
They
one
don't.
day longer than is necessary.
Like you were telling me about, like some of the friends that you know, about like going to the gas stations at night.
I know some hardcore guys, right? That now in today's world, they be like, man, I don't go out to the gas station at night because, to be honest, Junior Brown, I will hurt one of these kids or one of these kids gonna hurt me, and I don't want to do that because I don't play that.
Right. And we talking about hardened villains.
Oh, these are straight multi-year felons. Sitting down don't scare them. Dread prison don't mean nothing to them. They credentials in the streets is certified. Everybody knows as far as if it come to that, they will do that, and they've done that.
Because self-preservation is the first law of humanity.
Yeah,
Big time.
but they don't want to live like that,
Right.
Because they know that right now we got some kind of different rules going on, and we got some confused youth.
Yeah,
who kind of
exactly.
think this shit's
Don't
about.
want to kill you, don't want you to kill me.
Yeah, and think this shit is available because they be like, you will be on Facebook dead fucking with me
That's right.
with your phone. You
Right.
and your phone.
Right.
These guys don't play like that. So
Mhm.
before we get any further, shout out to Vinyl's Apparel, new sponsor of
Yeah, big up, Vano.
Vinyl's Apparel, new sponsor of Motown Mafia podcast, located at 3246 West Davison. Hottest apparel in the D. A lot of the stuff you see me wearing, if you like, came from Vinyl's.
Absolutely.
It's got one of the best buying designer eyes for our people and our fashion in the city, maybe in the country. So again, shout out to Vinyl's Apparel. If you guys are over that side of town, check him out. If you go to the east side, he worth coming to holler at from the east side. Just go in there, holler at Vinyl, holler at Kayla, holler at Bow Wow. Tell them the good people at Motown Mafia podcast sent you, and they're going to show you a lot of love.
Yeah.
That's at 3246 West Davison.
That's Fifth Ave or Rodeo over on Davis.
Rodeo Drive of the Hood.
That's it.
Half Dasher of the Stars.
Yep.
Home of the Hustlers. All of that.
Don't forget Blazing Hookahs.
Oh, Blazing Hookah joint right next door. They got rental space for you over there. And of course, they got all of the hookah accessories and amenities if you're into that. Right next to Vinyl's Apparel, right there on
Yeah.
Davidson between Dexter and Linwood.
Mm-hmm.
And Lou, I was going through the archives. We good engineering wise.
Oh yeah, so far so good.
And I came across this flyer, and we had did an episode a while ago about business regrets. This flyer reads Sunday, February the 3rd. I believe this was Sunday, February the 3rd of the year 2000.
Mm.
Top Heavy Productions of Brooklyn, New York. I was based in Brooklyn at this time. The ultimate Super Bowl party. The finest dancers and waitresses at the Cotillion Club. Shout out to the memories of the Cotillion Club. 13221 Puritan Avenue. All you can eat buffet, big screen TV, and raffle. Pre-game show and halftime show. So Pops owned a place called the Continuing Club, which you guys have probably heard us speak
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Right there on Puritan, Puritan between Littlefield and Cheyenne on the west side. We did a whole line of comedy shows. You know, we were the first people to bring in Mike Epps, J.B. Smooth, Darnell Small, Cheryl Underwood, T.K. Kirkland. Did that whole thing. Then we did a whole music old timer thing. Brought in the Enchantments, the Intruders, the Floaters, Blue Magic, all those kind of people. But after that, we then just started doing kind of rentals and our own thing, doing Sunday brunches. And so I had decided, because we've been doing the titty bar scene for so long, and shout out to Trina, gonna have to bring Trina on the pod. Trina was heavily immersed, one of the sisters that worked on the team with a lot of the girls. So I was like, well, you know, a Super Bowl coming, why don't we do this? Got the hall. I want to do a little experiment, see maybe if we can do this on a regular basis. Let's bring in some strippers, have a Super Bowl party. Hence the name Top Heavy Productions. I've always had a fondness for endowed women.
Yeah.
And Trina was like, I'm down. She recruited to help. I told the crew told the other crew told the new crew told the old crew, and it was a huge success.
All right.
Right? And I was like, I had toyed around for years with the idea of getting involved in the strip club business. You know, my mentor, Mr. Moore, he had owned Tony Julian's. He had bought Tony Julian's. Shout out to Jimmy Stein, Coleman Stein. His uncle Doink had been very influential in the Black Orchid and Tiger's Lounge.
Okay.
This is really before the Chaldean community had completely taken over the strip club scene in Detroit. But distracted, blinded by the bag, always the ups and downs of the hustles. It just never was the right time to pull the trigger and do the deal. So when we do this top heavy thing, though, this is getting close to this 2000. I'm really about to walk away from working for Pops. This is about 2 years before we meet.
Okay.
Right, it's getting real close. I'm like, we've been at this. I've been working for Pops for 16 years. The impending doom that if we keep doing what we're doing, this shit's gonna end up going south. And it's just probably time. Whatever we didn't say, whatever we didn't make, we didn't make. Whatever we didn't say, we didn't say.
It was a moment of clarity.
What we got is more than most.
Big time.
And it's time to go do something different. It's time to square up.
Yep.
So my squaring up ideas was things like Top Heavy Productions, strip club business, or retail. I end up pivoting, as you know, to retail. I am man enough to say it probably was not the best decision financially. And recently, and I won't mention the bar, but there's only one black bar or two left in the city. And an opportunity came up through my people to take ownership of it. So I went around to the fella because it was a pretty decent ticket to buy the joint, right? So I didn't have all the bread. It was a it was a 7-figure deal. And I needed some help if I was gonna be able to pull it off. And so I went to the fellas. They showed a little interest in it. We went to the club, had a good time, ate the lunch, ate the food. Old boy then showed us the numbers. This is recent, right? We see the numbers the joint is doing. And then I was like, all right, so chop it up and let's figure out if this is something we can do or we should do. They came back, and two of the three gentlemen's apprehension was what their wives would say if they owned a strip club. Now I want the opinion of the family out there on A, is that not a ridiculous response? Am I just too hardened by the life that I've lived that I think that any woman who would have a problem with that is just naive and silly? Or is it just because my moral compass is distorted that I don't understand why a woman would have a problem with her husband having an interest or investment in a strip club? And I say that because as we speak, the Chaldean community
They are pouring money into those.
Pouring money into these
during
places.
during the pandemic, pouring money into it.
Hey.
I mean, during some of the worst times,
Oh, we was
they're
at,
gonna find a way to drop some dollars in the strip club.
we went to Club Truth during the middle of the pandemic.
Yep.
They was charging $100 to valet park, $100 to get in, $1,500 for a booth. Steak dinners $50, and they got shut down by the fire marshal because there was too many Negroes in there. We was celebrating old girl's birthday, and we was part of the mayhem. We was up in VIP looking down like, what the we figured we will have this pandemic, we get VIP, ain't gonna be a whole bunch of people around. Not so much. So, but my point is, Brother Lou, the Chaldean gentlemen who own these strip clubs, they're not bachelors.
Of course not.
These are family guys
Of course.
that are providing for their families. And I want the conversation, what I want a conversation about is, obviously, the women who they're married to know that their husbands own these strip clubs. They don't got a problem with it because it's a business.
Right. The question is, why would they?
Well, you want your husband to be successful and profitable so that he can provide for the family, for you and the
Thank
children,
you.
right?
Right.
If by owning this strip club, he's profitable and he can provide for you and the family, that's called winning.
That's right.
But in our community, that seems like it's not the case. So, so now it's still one of those bucket list businesses that I never did.
Mm.
Now I've gotten older and being in the regular bar business for so long and understanding the late nights and hours,
Mm-hmm.
that business is not as attractive to me. But I'm still not bad. I would love to find the right situations to put $1 or $2 in one
Yeah.
and get
I
a
mean,
piece of the action. Because if he had a belt on but not buckled, so half the belt was just hanging down.
Mm-hmm.
He had on house shoes with the silk socks on. Let his hair go crazy for about a week, unshaven. But then the piece de resistance, the creme de la creme. That nigga brought a fly swatter into the white folks' office, nigga, and was fucking swatting imaginary flies as they interviewed. White folks hurry up and gave that nigga a check. That nigga, hey, hold on. One second. Hold on one second. What? I ain't lying. Lou, I dropped him off, and I'm supposed to be parking, and then go wait for him. Before I could find a parking spot, he come out the shit smiling with his fly swatter in his hand. I say, wait a minute, man. Let me do another loop to find a parking spot. He said, you ain't got to find a parking spot. We good. I say, we good. He like, it's over. I've been approved. He told me what he did. He said, I already knew once I started swatting his desk a few times. Mr. Wright, this is fine. We understand it. The workforce may not be the right place for you. You probably need disability of some sort because, you as the restaurant working probably is not gonna work out well. Yeah,
oh my
man.
God.
Yeah, man.
One of my folks' friends, one of Omar's friends. I think his name was 6'4". That's what they called him, a 6'4". And he went for one of them checks. What did my mother tell me? He said, he walked into the office and he said, I just killed 10 niggas. And I'm about to kill 10 more. Check. Check.
Hey, a good mutual friend of ours, one of our first clients when we had a contract with the Department of Corrections, housing inmates.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know who you're talking about.
Old school,
yes.
old school. We just call them old school.
We'll say old school.
Old school that did 42 years,
Yeah.
right? So now he ain't even putting on no show. He just being himself and being honest.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in with him. I think I might have become his payee. So I walk in there with him. We sit down. Brother, nice young brother is working at the Social Security office doing a regular interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing this for a long time with the family business. I've been through hundreds of these interviews. I kind of know how they go.
Yeah.
But I was about to see some shit I'd never seen before. So he's like, old school. Tell me what's going on here. And he's like, I just came home. I've been home about 6 weeks now. Well, how long did you do? 42 years. Now the brother was probably about 38.
Okay.
Was doing the interview.
Okay.
So when old school was like, I did 42 years. The young brother is like, you got one. You got him. That badass
I got
tenant.
him.
We had a fly in here. I'm telling you, he was like a bad tenant. Would not leave. Couldn't kick him out. Wouldn't pay rent. He said 42 years. I said, well, I have to ask, what'd you do? And old school's why he said, well, when I was 17, I robbed a bank with a water gun. They gave me 17 years. I came home and I was out 2 days and I robbed the bank with a real gun. They gave me another 10 years. He said, but on that second bit, a nigga was messing with me, so I had to stick him up. I stabbed him 32 times. And then another nigga tried to fuck with me, and I had to stab him about 16 times. And then they gave me another 10 years on top of that. Added up, that's my 42. That man went in his desk and pulled out the stamp seal and took old school's paperwork. Approved instantly. Your check will be here the first of the month. Thank you. Have a good day. Like, oh, you are who we have disability for. Because after doing 42 years, you done stuck up you done had to stick up two brothers like a pig, and you've been locked up since you was 17, asking you to go out into the workforce. That's just a bad joke.
Right.
You are approved for full benefit. I don't even know if he have to go back in to report. I think he got the stamp just forever.
Right.
No more talking, no more interviews. We don't need you to come back and explain how you doing. You're just good.
You're good.
You're good. You're not pretending. You're not playing crazy.
Use general in the article.
You are the general in the article. Yeah, that's funny. It's funny shit. What happens here in America. But last but not least, to finish that up, on some of the entrepreneurial psychology, or what's the word I'm looking for? Schizophrenia.
Okay.
That goes on in our community concerning businesses like Top Heavy Production.
Right.
Young sister graduates or goes to school,
Mm-hmm.
comes of age, decides that she wants to delve into the strip club business, right? She's gonna be a stripper. Okay, cool. Young brother who went to high school with her, grade school with her, say he wants to go out with his friends and go to said strip club.
Mm-hmm.
African American community, A member, sister, African American, B member, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Now though, for that brother to see that sister, he got to pay the people from the Middle East to park his car. He's got to pay for admission, and then he has got to pay for a room if he wants to talk to, same said sister in private.
Right.
How and where does the Middle Eastern community get injected into this relationship? And how in the world are we okay with it? And I'm not knocking the people from the Middle Eastern community because they are doing what exactly they should do. Because if I could come across a community silly enough I can separate your young men from your young women and make your young men pay me for them to have access to them same young women that they used to go to school with, and y'all all okay with it, run it. So I'm just saying, family. Food for thought. Food for thought. Back again, though. Top Heavy Productions may come back. It may be my swan song endeavor. I was down in the DR. Look, it was a brother pitching me actually on that kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Again, I think we're middle-aged now. The allure of that kind of business, just the hour and the time. And as my mentor taught me, when you're in the bar business, you got to put in the time. Nobody's going to watch your business the way you watch your business.
Mm-hmm.
And those are cash businesses with 6 figures worth of cash coming and going.
Yes.
You really do have to kind of babysit them. I have a strong team. And since I told you, a lot of my team can't participate because they say their wives have forbade them.
Mm-hmm. From such
from such a. It was okay for them to be in the trap, but now they can't be. Oh, Lord help us. Lord help us. Anyway, you good though? Got anything else?
Yeah, check me out. Flyers Plus Graphics on Instagram. Website will be coming soon. And Making of the Mafia. My documentary, Entree Boot.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my second documentary.
Yeah, you got the come up already out.
Yeah, and my production credit to writing and production credit to Motown Mafia.
Oh yeah, you didn't produce the
yeah.
award winning. You not. It is not hyperbole or hype if you say that you helped produce you were one of the producers of award winning documentary.
Absolutely.
That is factual.
That's right.
That is factual. Winner of LA and New York, best true crime story, best crime documentary, selection at Martha Vineyard Film Festival, Bronze Lens down in Atlanta. Just critically acclaimed.
And we're putting the band back together.
Putting
Motown Mafia Part 2.
Yeah, we got it.
Production starts next year.
We got to get Al. Shout out to Scott Bernstein. Shout out to Al Prophet. Shout out to Eddie Baby. We finally got at least a lot of the band. You know, it was like the Beatles. It was like the Beatles for a minute. Ringo didn't want to play with Paul, and Paul didn't want to play with John. And you know, despite the fact that they had made these hits, now the band had all got frayed. But it looks like we got the band back together again. Everybody ready to do a reunion tour.
Yeah.
So look for Motown Mafia Part 2. Little leak. I told you, my homegirl, Michelle. We got some stuff that we're gonna talk about with some Detroit rappers coming up on a whole different, some charitable, just community service. But she's got some ideas about Highland Park.
Okay.
What was going on with the players there. Of course, Eddie's building there in the heart of Highland Park during the late 80s. So it's a lot we got. A lot on our radar plates, real full. Redoing our website, got the Patreon channel coming up. About to really get our merch game together, get a shop at the Shopify store up and going. So you guys who have been supporting us, we hit a little milestone on our way to hitting another milestone. So things are happening. It's just all good. We're blessed.
Yeah, big time.
We've just been blessed. So shout out to the family. Again, if you guys are checking us out on YouTube, please make sure you're hitting that like, share, and subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're doing what we do. We got all kind of stories and content to come. We're going to really unpack and share the particular visions that the Big Boss family can, insights that only the people like the Big Boss family can give, who've been at this stuff for 4 decades.
Big time.
You know. What's happening, family? This is your man, CRB Jr., Courtney Robert Brown Jr. here at Motown Mafia Podcast, which is, of course, a Big Boss Filmworks production. We got some special guests in the house, and then we got on the far end my partner in crime in these endeavors, the Lou the Great. What up, fam?
What up, man?
Everything good with you?
Man, loving life, brother.
All right, you done brought your team in, a referral.
Yeah.
So, before we get started, make sure if you guys are checking us out on YouTube that you are hitting that like, share, and subscribe button.
And smash that notification bell so you know when we got new content coming out.
And special shout out to our newest sponsor, and that is Vinyl's Apparel, Vinyl's Clothing Store, located right on West Davison. That's at 3246 West Davison, Detroit, Michigan. That's right on Davison between Linwood and Dexter. He's got the hottest gear in the city. All the young ladies love the fashion eye that he's got. He's got some stuff for the brothers, some stuff for the sisters. He's been there for a long time. He's an institution in that neighborhood. So, and if you're from the east side, he is worth the trip. Come in there, let them know that you heard about him. Motown Mafia Podcast, bring up my name, Pop's name, Lou's name, Eddie's name, any of the family's name, Butch's name, and they will definitely show you some extra love. They always show love. So again, that's Vinyl's Apparel, 3246 West Davison. So, we ready to get into it. This is episode 54. We are climbing and counting how this thing began. We got some special guests in the house with us. We got
Stella Lucas.
Stella Lucas. Stella Lucas is the mom of
Kenneth Bailey.
That is Ken, the Street Monster Bailey. Ken is a brother here from the D.
Retired from the streets.
Retired from the
Amen.
Streets is his platform name. Is that the exact name? Retired from the Streets?
Retired from the Streets TV on YouTube. Retired from the Streets. I have a group on Facebook.
All
That's
right.
just that.
So I've been checking out some of his content, preparing for this interview. I found it entertaining. I think you guys will too. So before we get into it, Ken,
Yes, sir.
let the family out there know your backstory. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a Detroit native. I grew up in Detroit in the Jeffrey Housing Project, what we call the Little Side 920 Temple. So I come from a traditional hardworking background. Mom's was a hustler ever since I was little and embedded that Detroit mentality of being just a hard worker, you know, that blue collar background. So that's my story coming up. Always was a scholar student, you know, did good in school. But growing up in a household where your father figure is a major figure in the drug, you know, game, of course I had that pull towards the street too. So coming out of high school, I got into the streets a little bit, you know, heavier than what I used to would have been had I went to school. I didn't want to go to school, which was crazy because 3 years later I graduated to the penitentiary.
So what year did you graduate from high school?
1994.
1994. Okay,
Yes.
so you're a little younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're in high school in the early 90s. Your formative teenage years would have been the late 80s, and the projects was popping in the late 80s.
Well, popping.
Well, projects have been popping for 20 years prior to that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes.
Yes. You can vouch for that, right?
Yeah,
I
most
was
definitely.
born and raised there.
Well, you saw the actual, because on my mother's side of the family, the Robinsons, all came out of the projects.
Okay.
Okay.
So that would have been Frank Robinson, Lee Robinson, my mom's uncles, Freddie Robinson. My mother was Teresa Robinson. Then Auntie, who God rest her soul, was Sandra Robinson. And they were raised by my great-grandmother, who was Maggie Robinson.
So were they on the little side or the
No, they
big
were in
side?
the towers.
So the big side.
They were on the big side.
Okay.
My earliest memories are the Jeffrey Projects. So, yeah, by the late 60s, early 70s, there was, you know, the dichotomy or the uniqueness of the black experience in America.
Mm-hmm.
Because there probably was no neighborhood in the city that had actually more cash in it than those housing projects.
Yeah. For
That's
real.
true.
That's a fact, right?
Yeah, definitely was.
Yeah, there was
Mhm.
people with some phenomenal amounts of money right there
Yeah.
in those housing projects.
Yes, sir.
So that influenced you.
Yeah, definitely.
So by the time you get out of high school in the mid 90s,
Mm-hmm.
the allure of the street is taking hold.
Yep. Then I had a baby on the way at 19, so I didn't want to be panhandling for my parents. So I was like, I gotta, and then, you know, I got a father who, you know, he was more like, bro, at this age, at 12, I had my own Cadillac. At 15, I had, so that pressure of that too, I just didn't want to hear nothing he had to say. So I just wanted to get my own, you know, and then I wanted to kind of come up under that shadow because everybody assumed we were spoon-fed.
Okay.
You know, and silver spoon because
Oh.
they saw.
Oh, I kind of know a little bit about that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. So I wanted to make sure everybody understood I did this myself.
Right on.
You know, knucklehead. But,
So a lot of the people who are in our orbit, they would have been around still. Freaky Steve and all them are still around. They still around? Freaky still? They still around?
that might be somebody,
Huckabuck?
you know. Huckabuck.
Huckabuck
I
is
remember
still.
Huckabuck.
Okay.
I remember that name.
Huckabuck.
Yeah.
I don't know these people.
I remember Huckabuck
The
name.
statute of limitations is long. Statute of, you ain't got to worry, Mom. Statute of limitation, we got good lawyers. We've checked out all this stuff. Statute of limitations is long since passed, and all issues have been completely litigated.
Yeah. for
Sentences
sure.
served,
No.
and the majority of it now public
Oh my
record.
God.
She's old school. She's like, we can't talk about that.
I know nothing.
Hey, nothing.
That's funny.
Okay, so 19, out of school, baby on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Streets are calling.
Definitely calling.
What happens?
Well, it was a mixture of me trying to get into some type of schooling.
Okay.
And then also having a job. Like, I mean, I kept jobs, but I just always hustled, like, you know, some tree or something on the side, just to, you know, fatten the pockets, and a bunch of retail stuff I was into, like, you know, I was tearing the retail operations up. But yeah, so a lot of that was going on, and then it was make a decision what you gonna do next, and you know, like I say, baby on the way, we lost the baby.
Oh.
And then that, just going into that depression, looking back, it was a depression. At the time, I just figured this girl tripping, she wanted a baby right away, and I'm figuring like I'm hurt and depressed too. But we both started working. I left hustling alone, and it just, to the pressure of just working all the time and busting my butt, and my homeboys pulling up through the drive-through, and I'm at KFC, you know. I just like, this ain't popping. I'm making $6 an hour. Yeah, so yeah, that was what happened next. Job, quit that, started back hustling weed and throwing freak parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good business.
Yeah.
Good business.
Right.
But I think people sometimes, if you haven't come from that environment,
Mm-hmm.
'cause I think you kind of alluded that your pops was getting money and was kind of known in the streets, right?
Yeah.
It is so. I'll never forget. It was a white guy that owned a couple of junkyards or scrap yards, and he did time with Pops and Eddie.
Mm.
And he said something. He said, you know, what do they think a guy like Eddie's gonna do when he gets out? He's gonna go get a job at Sears.
Right.
He's like, if the government had any brains, guys like that, they'd give him a pension and just say, go sit down, leave us alone.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Because-
Right.
And you know, now I forget that when a guy said it's coming from a white guy, and he was
Right.
like, because he's like, there's no way guys like that go straight.
Yeah.
No.
No, right?
Yeah.
There's just no way, because once you know how it works and you attain that level of success,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and you know, people be on TV talking crazy, like, well, they just go get a job. Well, you
It's
kinda-
hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's, to a certain extent, it's like once the cucumber becomes a pickle, there's no reversing.
Right.
No, for sure.
There's no reversing. the
Yeah.
process.
Right.
Yeah.
A totally different taste.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's, you know, the only way hustlers have to find another hustle, but they can't stop hustling.
No, that's
No.
it.
Right.
It's just like, I gotta be able to do something that provides this same type of
Lifestyle.
lifestyle
And freedom.
Yeah, that's really
I
what
tell
it's about.
people all the time, a lot of the allure of the streets wasn't just the money,
Yeah.
it was the freedom, the camaraderie,
Mm-hmm.
and the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Because in our society, how many other now you see it in the hip hop music industry.
Yeah.
But prior to that, what other was it where black men could get together, not be dependent on white men or anybody
Right.
else,
Right.
be able to be themselves, support their families,
Sure.
and not feel oppressed.
Right.
Exactly.
The streets were the only avenue that world existed in.
Exactly.
And to step away from it, to go punch a clock,
Yeah.
and this is in all respect to working people. Same situation.
No,
I come
yeah.
from family work, you know, auntie 40 years at the phone company in Michigan Bell, and
Mm-hmm.
all
Oh,
my
yeah.
uncle, all my uncle, you know, Michigan Bell did right by a lot of sisters in
Yeah.
this town.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah, my mother's one of them.
Michigan
Yeah.
Bell did right, you
No,
know.
for real.
Salute to the old Ma Bell.
Right.
Used to be Michigan
Well,
Bell.
Ma
Yeah.
Bell.
You know, we say we want about corporate America, but that company there in this town
Exactly.
did right by a lot of black families.
That's
Yeah,
right.
this is the truth.
My
for real.
cousin used to work there too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So okay, so let's keep the story moving. So you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in your story, some things go south because you have to go sit down.
Yeah, for sure.
And how long do you have to go sit down for?
First time they gave me 5 to 20. I was initially supposed to do about 3 years and say 10 months. And you know, that's when good times still existed, right? So they
Okay.
give you, was it 9 days off each month
Right.
in the beginning, but you know, when I got in there, I wilded out and I got all that took. So I ended up doing Almost a whole 5 years. Yeah.
Okay, so you were welding out on that first bit, which means that when I was checking out some of your content, you were spitting some real game to the family out there, and you were saying that you need to have a life plan
Yes.
and a business plan.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously at that point in your journey, you had not had that revelation about getting a life plan.
Not that. No,
Not yet.
Mm-mm.
Not yet. Life plan hadn't come into work
Because the
yet.
money was still good. Like the bag was still heavy at the house, so I didn't have to really. I'm just thinking I'm coming home and get some cameras and stuff. And because before I went in, I had went to Specs Howard to do a tour for broadcasting. Like I want to go here, and then I caught my bid like a few weeks later.
All right, for those who don't know, Specs Howard is like the premier broadcasting communication school here in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Famous people like used to be back in the day, Casey Kasem, American Bandstand, all those guys are Specs Howard alumnus.
Yes. So that was the goal, to go to Specs.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the thing. Come home. I knew the money was in good rotation. I'm like, when I come home, I need some cameras. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to school. So Pops was like, go to school first, you know. So that's,
Right.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
What year was that when you were coming out?
2002.
2002. Okay.
May 2002, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So, when did you decide to really kind of go into this content thing and get your story out and share some of your lessons from sitting down and from what you grew, how you grew up and all that? What sparked that?
Well, initially what sparked it was that I was watching probably Gary Vee or somebody, and he said, people always say that you don't have anything to offer, you have your perspective. And so I have, you know, the laundromat, Lou knows from the laundromat, it's a hub of dudes coming home from prison, using that as headquarters. I pay them to clean up or do whatever, get them on their feet, give them clothes, feed them. And it wasn't something I was doing for any bragging rights. It's just like, bro, you got to tighten up. You need this focus. And I'm going to show you, if you take your time, how to get off parole at least. Let's get you there first.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing, like going through that constantly, being a voice and a reason for people. I'm like, I need to just do a YouTube channel or something so y'all can stop asking me the same stories. Stop telling me to tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, watching just the time over on Fit and Fold. That's the name of the
laundromat. Yeah.
Send a shout out. What up, Justin?
Shout out to Fit and Fold.
That's right.
You
They're
know,
on Claremont, right? That's about Claremont.
right on the corner of Second and Gladstone.
Second and Gladstone.
Yeah.
Second and Gladstone.
check them
Nice
out.
joint.
Yeah, I love the place. But yeah, when I first initially came through, I noticed the leadership position that you had, because I could come in like every week because I'm taking care of my grandmother.
Right.
I always got laundry, you know what I'm saying? So big loads of laundry.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So it was like watching you, you know, sort of get them tutelage and mentorship. You know, I could see it from them. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So again, going back, because I think it's so important on both notes what you had said when I was listening to some of your work about a life plan and a business plan, and that always being your roadmap. So if you ever find yourself a little lost or off center, you got a document to go back to. And you know, me and Lou were just speaking. It's been 10 years since we really even formally, and so much has evolved that I would say we're going to sit down and redo the business plan.
Yeah.
Actually, even in my cannabis business, me and my other partner were saying that we're going to redo, because you can get so busy working that you forget to map out, right?
Right.
You'll be so busy worrying about September 2022 that you don't spend any time thinking about February 2023, when February 2023 is going to be here in a minute. And you need to know, you know, if so, yeah, give you this for free. If you're in business and you ain't got a plan for February 2023, you need to get one.
Amen.
Right?
right.
Because you can't be in business and be doing it day by day.
Yeah.
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 Business.
Yeah.
And as you had said, life very much the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is.
Right?
Like moving with a sense of purpose throughout your day, knowing kind of, okay, I'm doing this in the morning, by the afternoon, I'm gonna wind down around this time. I gotta hit the gym.
Yep.
And then like being in the, I can't even say prison did that. Being in my grandmother's house, we was regimented. We had chores. We had things to do. Spray up the concrete with the broom, take the trash cans out, rinse them out. So just having a regimen, period, like for your life, will help you really in business. And in business, it's not for everybody. Trust me.
Ooh, okay. So you went there, so I'll follow up there. We have a thing right now going on in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be a boss.
Yeah,
Everybody wants a business.
that's right.
Everybody wants to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It is, everyone should not go into business.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Now, I didn't say everybody shouldn't be involved in a business
Right.
or can't contribute to a business,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody, because, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's
No.
nothing wrong with saying, as a lifetime entrepreneur, if you don't know that the day will come when payroll comes and everybody gets paid but you.
Right.
That's real. That's the reality of being in
No,
business.
for real.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
The owner eats last if he eats
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully the day comes where the owner gets to eat more and more often than everybody else.
Yeah.
But before that happens, there's going to be many days where everybody else eats but you. And if you're not of the mindset to be able to deal with that without being resentful and you can't keep your eye on the bigger vision,
Mm-hmm.
it ain't for you. And it's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
Right.
for real. Nothing wrong with it. It takes sacrifice in the hungry night stuff, for real. Because, like, even dealing with the properties that I'm dealing with now, right? Like, literally, I'm supplementing my money right now. I'm working back at the laundry, just to pay them. So I don't have to go into other stuff that I got going on. So I'm really just doing this to put the money, like, it's going right out. Like, I need clean out. I need, this, that, and the other. So,
Oh,
yeah.
right. What I tell people, if you really want to know what it's like being in business for yourself, an entrepreneur, next time the circus is in town, go to the circus and pay attention to the person doing the juggling.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Because that's what you're about to become, is
Yeah.
a first-class juggler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All kind of money gonna touch your hand and none of it you get to keep.
Oh, what?
That's right.
You just become a human ATM. You
Yeah.
just, money come in,
Mhm.
big pieces of money come in, and then you just spend all the time
Right.
distributing it out.
Expensive.
And until you can get to the other side,
Over the hump.
over the hump.
Amen.
But that's real. That's real. So another piece of your content that I really enjoyed, and I want your insights on it, was you did a kind of chronicling of a once prominent African American owned business here in Detroit, Singleton's Cleaners,
Yeah, Singletons for sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think, and I would love your insights on this too, Mom, because you definitely will remember when we had lots of black businesses in this town. So it just right with you, when you were doing the thing, Singleton's had 3-4 cleaners,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Dotnetta Shrimp Hut
Yeah,
had
Dotnetta.
4 or 5 locations. In fact, the people who founded it lived across the street from us in Southfield growing up.
Okay.
M&M Shrimp Shack had
Remember
3-4
M&M.
locations, right?
Yeah.
Thriving, and all these
Yeah.
were family. Those are old enough in the D. These were all institutions in the
Oh,
city
these
of
were
Detroit.
huge.
Singleton Cleaners,
Mhm.
Dotnetta Shrimp Shack, M&M Shrimp Shack, and Quinn's.
Queens. Remind
The
me.
Parks Barbecue.
Parks Barbecue,
Greens
Greens on Mac, you know
On
what I
Mac.
mean?
on Mac.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's that? The trash street. What was that? Good shit. Grandma, you need.
It was Canton
Canton.
or Concord.
That was Canton.
One of the, Canton.
Yeah.
And then you had Young's.
Ooh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
And,
Don't talk. Oh my! I could taste that just from you
Right.
saying that now. I
What
could
about
smell it.
Alabama style chicken too? Otis
Yeah.
Harville.
Oh yeah.
On Kirchable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, them institutions.
Institutions, none of them exist. But now there are over 50 Captain J's
Mm.
I know,
fish and
right?
chicken locations. No, again, everybody know I do a lot of business with the Arab community.
Right.
So I'm not trying to throw no shade. They're doing what they're supposed to
No,
do,
most definitely.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But Young's Barbecue got bought out by an Arab businessman.
Wow.
It's now
Really?
called Royals. Right
Mm.
there on Young's is now called Royals. It's owned by the Arab community.
I didn't know that.
As these legendary multi-decade black shrimp huts went out of business, Dotnetta's, M&M, Quinn's it wasn't that black folks in Detroit stopped eating shrimp and chicken.
Exactly.
Because as we see with the success of Captain J's,
Yeah.
Very much still a viable business.
it's
Yeah. Very much.
singletons.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd heard, and I won't go into because I don't like talk about things I don't know I talk about, but it was some legal issues that perhaps expedited singletons closing up.
Yeah. See, I wasn't familiar with that part, so I didn't touch on it either. Yeah.
But what it makes me, what saddens me in all those cases is, let's just keep it real. Detroit's always had, half the money in this city always been underground money from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So as we were talking
Definitely.
about in the housing projects, whether it was the Bruces or the Jeffries, it was phenomenal. They might have had more money in the projects than they had at the bank, right?
Yeah.
But nobody, somehow we've got to the point in our community where nobody put out a word to say, you know, well, for whatever reason, Dad and his family, the people don't want to, the kids don't want to take over the business. Singletons, you know, they running in, they got some issues. This is a black-owned business. Everybody know them. Before we let it just board up and be gone.
Mm-hmm. Let's pull that money.
You know, the
together.
money that it would have took, that I'm sure the Singletons would have took, is money that our community spends at the club
Yeah.
on Friday night
Facts.
on Hennessy.
Yes.
Just Hennessy alone.
Yeah.
Give me one Friday night's Hennessy sales
Mm-hmm.
in this town. And we just got to do better. I mean, because it's mystifying. And you have family, you have to know the rest of the world is looking at us like we're retarded.
Definitely.
Because they're like, okay, so these places have been in business for 20 years, 30 years. But whatever happens internal with their families, they're ready to pass it along. And nobody else in your community says, I know, all right, you guys didn't took it this far. You got to go do what you got to go do. We'll take it from here. Here's your bread. Let's figure out a number that makes sense,
Right.
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 and we'll
Yeah.
take it. And we'll take it from there.
That's it.
But that just doesn't happen.
You know, no, it doesn't. Black grocery stores, all
Last.
of those are gone.
Well-
You know, I don't know anybody black in Detroit that has a grocery store.
Actually, one.
Yeah.
Really?
Just
Just,
to open over on Woodward, right next
And
to
you-
the
and
old.
Euclid.
Yeah,
Oh,
right
down
on
the
Euclid.
street.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Now
I'm
we
geeked up about it.
we salute that, but do you understand the insanity that in a city that is
That-
80%
that-
black
right,
that we're
right.
talking
That
about,
we're-
we're talking about that we can even name the one,
Yeah, we can even
Right.
name the one.
right?
Absolutely.
That's like the situation. I can name like the 2 black liquor stores that I know of in this town.
Right.
Now you ask anybody in the Arab community, could you name all the Arab-owned liquor stores in Detroit? They look at you like, are you
Like
retarded?
you're crazy,
You
right?
know, I'm gonna be here for the next year trying
Right.
to remember
Right.
every,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a lot of stuff that we got to do entrepreneurial in our community, and so I salute you for some of the stuff that you're doing, and again, I think the message that you put out there about having a life plan and having a business plan, because people just go into business sometimes and be like, I'm in business.
Right.
And you'd be like, what did you think about? Because, you know, if you do this, you just take a simple template off the internet
Yeah.
of a business plan. It's going to force you to answer some real
Exactly.
important questions like, who are your strategic, who's your competition,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I don't say this to be mean or funny or anything, just to be honest. Most business ideas are bad ideas.
Yeah.
They
I
only,
know what you
and
mean.
wait a minute, I'm a serial businessman.
Yeah.
I have 20 bad ideas a day about a business.
For real.
I just learned to process it and know, because I'll be like, oh, you know, that'd be a good business, Courtney. And then I'll start thinking about
Right,
it.
exactly.
And then I'll scribble some notes, and then I'll be like, oh, no, that's not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I done probably gave her about 100, like 30-second sales pitches on different ideas over the years.
She's
Right.
been your Shark Tank to
Man,
tell you whether it's a
since I
good
was-
idea or not.
Probably since I was about 11 or 12.
Mom's been Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's stupid. You should take that idea to the back and shoot it. You know, there's like a market for vegan cookies,
Right.
but most people like cookies with sugar.
Yeah.
Why don't you think about a good cookie that tastes good, that's real sweet, Make that, because people like that. We know that.
Yeah.
Find a good
Yeah.
sweet cookie, you'll sell them,
Yeah.
for
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then after you make some money doing that, then do your vegan line.
Yeah, for real.
But don't do it the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Don't worry about people's calorie count when you're making your fried chicken. Make it taste good.
Yes. That's it.
Make it taste good and let
Right.
We get all confused. We want to be in the chicken business, but now I want to be a
Healthy
dietitian
chicken.
and a doctor.
Right.
I'm like, do you think the people at KFC counting calories?
It's the Amish chicken.
No.
Can't.
Right.
Right, that's they niche.
Yeah.
Right.
That's their niche.
Yeah,
So
that's a fact.
it's out. But get the family out there. Your how they can reach you on your social media, and all that.
Okay, well, I'm at O_G_Kenny on Instagram, and then as far as the YouTube channel, it's Retired from the Streets TV. The Facebook group is Retired from the Streets, without the TV. But that's it. I really don't communicate business-wise a lot on outside of the group and the Instagram and YouTube channel. You know, my Facebook group mainly, you know, private friends and whatnot. You know. The big Lou's of the world.
Right.
All right, there it is. There it is. Mom, anything you want to say to the family out there?
Well, actually, I've been kind of toggling over trying to do a book.
You gotta push Mom. Mom gotta get a
yeah.
book out because I can tell you got a story in you.
I do.
Mom's
Got a
been
story.
working.
Serious story.
Yeah, Mom's been working. She sent me a whole bunch of notes. I had to read through. I'm like, I love it.
I'll just give you a little tidbit.
Give us a tidbit.
It's on the first 48, so it's surrounding that.
Wow. So the story's already had a little bit of exposure already.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
had a lot of bit of exposure.
Yeah, a lot of exposure.
All right, well, Mom dangled some bait out there.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta make it do. I just share this with your mom, what I share with all other people with entrepreneur ideas. I don't know how much you'll make or how successful it'll be if you do try. But I can tell you exactly what'll happen if you don't try.
Oh,
Exactly.
amen. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I figured like this, it'll be therapy for me. No one's ever been caught for what happened.
Mm.
So, I mean, you know,
Yeah, not
I figured I would just turn
Mm-hmm.
tragedy into triumph.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Amen.
So that's awesome. So
Very
thank
well
you
put.
guys again. Any last words from you, Ken?
And I appreciate you. I appreciate Lou. Lou was,
Hey, big time.
listen, it's so deep how me and Lou met. Me and Lou been talking and kicking it just about life for years.
Yeah.
I see him with the laptop over one day. I see Al Prophet. I'm like, Al.
Shout out to Al.
Shout out, Al.
I'm like, Al, up. I said, Al got to come on in. Right? He said, Al, my man. I said, oh, that's what's up. And then we got the chat. I said, this what you do? I said, that's crazy. I got all the equipment in the world, and I just need to do the thing. And he's like, how many? He said, how many videos you did? I'm like, none. So now I'm over 150.
Awesome.
7 months later,
Yeah.
and I appreciate Lou. I appreciate Big Boss Filmworks. I appreciate Motown Mafia podcast. Listen, it's an honor just sitting down. You got so much history just in your DNA, big
Thank
bro.
you.
So I
Oh, yeah.
definitely appreciate it. It's an honor sitting down with you, brother. So
Yeah,
thank you.
man.
Well, that's what it's about. Is we do is we say, we didn't plan it. Well, we didn't. You couldn't have told us when we wrote the book.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, let's go ahead and get that out the
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Motown Mafia available. The Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid available at Amazon. Where this whole project kind of began. There wasn't even a thing called a podcast or content creator
right.
when we started Big Boss. So, we were just down at the Brewster reunion, and the fact that we become a voice for people like yourself and people from the streets of Detroit. The world is crazy now, and you got a lot of other people telling our stories,
Mhm.
and we got to make sure that we stay in position to tell us.
Right.
We don't need interpreters to talk to our
That's
people.
right.
Right.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We can talk to, and nobody can tell our story like us.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, we embrace being a platform and an organ for all the people out there.
Beautiful.
Who know about the struggle.
Mhm. Amen.
Because we all the same.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
The struggle is real.
And the struggle is
The
real.
struggle is relative.
All right, wow.
For sure.
Dang.
So awesome, fam. We're going to take a break. Again, it has been our pleasure to have Ken, the Street Monster Bailey here. Make sure you guys check him out. The brother's doing some very awesome, positive things. I mean, again, if you don't do
Thank you,
anything but follow his advice on getting a life plan and getting a business plan, you owe him for that. It is always a pleasure to have an elder queen here, so thank you, Mom,
Thank you.
for sitting
Yeah.
in with us.
Yeah, y'all come back to the show anytime.
Definitely.
Anytime,
Thank you. Thank you.
anytime.
Definitely.
We got, I'll throw a teaser out there, just the craziness of your connection with the Kincaid family.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you know, those who've seen Motown Mafia, you know, C.L. Kincaid is mentioned
Right.
early in the documentary. And
Definitely.
small town, Detroit's the biggest small town in America.
For real.
You know, for real,
Sure.
the biggest small town.
We
in
are
America.
we are our own country, basically.
Yes. So there it is. That's up. It's your man CRB Jr. Big Lou. You
Big
good?
Lou in the house, man.
We're gonna take a little break before we get back to you. And again, shout out. Make sure you guys are out there supporting Ken the Street Monster Bailey. You know, this is how this thing is gonna happen to improve this city. The things in life he's lived. If anybody's gonna be able to help our young nephews and young homies out there, it's gonna be people who actually that walked it and lived it, because they ain't trying to hear what the other people talking about.
For real.
So
Big
that's what we do. Love you guys. Hit like and subscribe and notification bell, right?
Notification bell.
All right, holla at your man. It's your people. Big Boss Filmworks, Motown Mafia. Holla.